We also have the Modern Toolkit. The Modern Toolkit is optimized for HTML5 and CSS3 features in terms of how your application is deployed to the browser. So an application we have that utilizes that is a movie video preview player that you'll be building. It brings in data from iTunes. It's nested complex data, so the nature and the means by which you absorb that data into the app becomes just a little bit less straightforward than it was for the previous application. We'll be using a universal build for this application. And what a universal build allows you to do is to be able to work with both toolkits, classic and modern. Say if you want one to be dedicated to a desktop application, you can, and another one dedicated to, let's say, a mobile application. The setup of Universal will allow you to work with both without having to be redundant in your efforts of how you manage your data for those apps and how you might manage your business logic for those apps. So in the movie video player here, we'll be absorbing that data into a data view class that we have here for the desktop view. And each record will be rendered through a template to be thumbnails that we animate with CSS3 animations to be able to indicate which video that we want to play. Details of the artist and the title of the song are included. When a user clicks the thumbnail, a window component pops up which contains both a template for the video itself. So sizing that is performed by a template. Below that is an SVG embedded in a button that will take you back to iTunes for that selection that you made to make a quick purchase. That window panel is modal, and it also has a title because it inherits from the panel class itself. In the modern implementation of the application, we're using the toolkit to target a mobile deployment. The data is being shared between the two, between the classic and the modern build. Some logic is also being shared. However, we're dealing with unique rendering to the mobile browser and working with components that are optimized and best suited to that task. So in this implementation, we're using a navigation view as a component, that is our parent container. We're embedding a data view list, which is inheriting from a data view in order to display each individual record and rendering it with a template the way that we would like. Making a selection from that list is not going to yield a window like we saw earlier. The limitations of the real estate of a mobile device prohibit that, but we can take advantage of the fact that we have a video class that we can enable in our application in the Modern Toolkit, because there are a video tag available to you in HTML5. So we have a poster URL here, which is going to allow us to play the video, complete with controls that we can opt to enable or disable, and a back button will take us back to where we were previously in the list, or again, leveraging the same SVG button we had before to take us to iTunes and make a quick purchase. An index bar off to the right will allow for more advanced scrolling. So if I want to go from the artists that start with the B's here at the top, I can switch and decide to jump quickly to the artist that starts with the T. And it jumps right down to do so for me. We also have grouping being performed behind the scenes. What's allowing this to happen is something called a chained store. So we have grouping being applied by the artists, so multiple Taylor Swift entries or multiple Rolling Stones entries will all be grouped together. That's the kind of UI UX choice that keeps a long list from becoming too monotonous in its display.